GCSE Latin. What will you study if you take GCSE Latin? Well, the course is divided into two sections. The first is Latin language, which is what you are used to studying more or less from year 8 and year 9 already. This is where we look at Latin vocabulary. You'll have a list of vocabulary to learn. We'll look at derivations, so words in English that have come from those Latin roots. We'll look at Latin grammar, and then we'll practice all of that knowledge with translation of passages and sentences. There is an optional English to Latin section in the exam, but it is only optional. You don't have to do it unless you choose to. But to prepare you for that anyway, we will try a few English to Latin examples in lessons as well. The second part of the course is the literature section, so our set texts. And we get one verse and one prose literature. So verse is poetry, and prose just means not poetry. And these are texts that were written by real Roman authors. So this is quite exciting. They are genuine works of literature by real Romans. They're not sort of written for a textbook or anything like that. They are genuine works of Roman literature. So some of them are, 2,000 years old. And it really is an amazing way to put everything you've learned in Latin to good use by really seeing what actual genuine Romans wrote about and some of the literature they created. So it's a really fascinating insight into Roman society and culture, and a unique thing to do with the language that you've learned. And the way this works is that we translate the texts in class. So you get a small section of the text is prescribed for the exam, and we'll translate that together in class. And then, a little bit like in English, we actually look at some of the techniques that the author is using. So we'll analyse, what stylistic features the author's used, whether they've used any similes or metaphors or alliteration and other techniques like that that you're probably used to hearing about in English. And we analyse why the author has chosen to use those techniques. And we'll ask you to sort of come up with a personal response to the literature as well. So what do you think of the characters and the storyline and what is happening? And a lot of our GCSE students find that this is the part of the course that they enjoy the most, because they get to respond to something themselves, they get to read a real text from Rome, from the Roman era, and they get to sort of look at it from a new perspective and really come up with their own ideas on it. And next year our texts will be, so our prose text is a story called The Witches of Thessaly by an author called Apuleius. And this is, as you might expect, a story about some witches. It's a very macabre, quite spooky tale. And then our verse text is a section of the Aeneid, which is an ancient epic from Virgil. And it's about the events after the Trojan War. So what happened to the Trojans after they were defeated by the Greeks. And it follows their hero Aeneas on his journey to escape that war and what happens to him after. The section that we look at in particular involves him going to the underworld to find his father who had passed away, where he sort of experiences a lot of the monsters and creatures that are found in the underworld. So that's also quite an exciting and again quite a spooky tale for us to read. How is it examined? So for GCSE Latin you have 3 exams. There is one language exam, which is worth 50% of the total GCSE, and this is an hour and 30-minute paper, and that is, as we said before, that's all of the language skills that you will have been practicing over the course. So that's your vocab and your grammar and your translation of passages. That's where the optional English to Latin comes in, but you do not have to do that if you don't want to. There are alternative comprehension questions to try instead. There's a little bit of derivation work in that exam as well. So that's fairly what you're used to already in terms of your Latin exams. And then there are 2 much shorter papers. The 2 literature papers are an hour each, and they're each worth 25% of the total GCSE. So together the literature component is 50%. So you've got 1 exam on your prose set text and 1 exam on your verse set text. And that involves some translation of the text that you will have already covered in class, some comprehension questions on the text, and there are a few slightly longer, sort of not quite essays, but more extended questions for you to answer on your personal response and some of the stylistic techniques that have been used. There is no oral exam at all for Latin, so unlike some of the other languages, it is just 3 written exams. You don't have to do an oral exam or any listening or anything like that in Latin. It is just the literature and the written language paper. How is it different to Year 9? So we will be moving on to a different set of textbooks. We will be saying goodbye to Caecilius and Quintus and the Cambridge Latin course, and we'll be using Latin to GCSE instead, which is a brand new textbook, and it's written in line with the OCR syllabus that we follow. So it's very, very good preparation for your exam. All of the questions and activities in it, the translations that are in it, are specifically geared to practice for the exam and to get you prepared for the sorts of questions you get asked in the exam. So it's a really useful textbook, and it covers everything that we need to know. It doubles up as a very nice revision guide as well. So that is a great textbook for you to be following. You will get a specific GCSE vocab list as well, so a dedicated list that has all the information, all the words that you need in it, right from day 1. And we will be, although what we do in class will be very similar to what we've done in Year 9, learning a new grammar point, practicing it, the points will get slightly more complex as we get into GCSE standard of language. So we'll be looking at sentence structure and clauses, how sentences are put together to make sort of slightly longer, more interesting stories. And of course the other thing that is quite different to what we've done before in Year 9 is the introduction of the set text. So towards the end of Year 10 we start work on those set texts, and this is often a highlight for many GCSE pupils. You'll get 2 set text booklets, one for prose and one for verse. We'll translate it together in class and analyse the text. You'll answer questions ranging from short comprehension questions to longer essay style questions. Why should you study it? The simplest answer to this question is just if you like and enjoy Latin, you enjoy the lessons, you enjoy the language, you find it interesting. If you're enjoying it currently, then you will definitely enjoy it at GCSE. If you are currently getting good results in Latin and you think you could do well in the subject. If you like learning languages in general, so the nice thing about Latin is it works very well alongside other modern languages as well. You can take it alongside another language, and it can really help you with that because Latin underpins so much of modern language learning, or the way modern languages work. Then having studied Latin at the same time can really help you. So if you're interested in languages in general, Latin's a great choice. Similarly, if you also like reading and thinking about literature, because we've got those literature texts that we study, if you like English and you like reading and you like analysing stylistic features, then this is another great choice for you, and that, remember, is 50% of the course. So even if you're not quite so strong on the language side, lots of people find that the literature lifts them up and they find that a really rewarding side of the course. If you're interested in the ancient world and you like learning about other cultures and societies, when we look at our literature component, we do get into the society that it was written, you know, what was going on historically at the time, why it was being written when it was. So we do look at the sort of history and culture of the society as well. If you're prepared to work hard and enjoy an academic challenge, you do need to work hard at Latin. It is sometimes a challenging language to learn, but that does not mean it is not a worthwhile thing to learn. Often the things that are hard and tricky are the most worthwhile to learn. So if you're prepared to have that academic challenge, then go for it. And the other nice thing about Latin is that it is a very well respected and highly regarded subject. It's very unique. There are not many state schools at all in the country where Latin is offered, so to be able to study it really does set you apart from other people who might not have had that same chance. So it's a really unique thing to have the opportunity to study. What can you do with GCSE Latin? The short answer is absolutely anything. Latin doesn't close any doors for you, it doesn't shut anything off. If you're thinking, well, my future career path doesn't involve Latin, that doesn't matter, because Latin does not close any doors to you, it only opens doors. It has lots of transferable skills, really important skills for lots of other subjects and areas of life later on. So logic, problem solving, communicating, responding to other ideas and cultures, those all get developed and strengthened through studying Latin. It complements lots of your other subjects really well. So it goes well with modern languages, as we said before. Because of the logical side of it, it works well with maths and science. English complements the literature side of this GCSE. History and classical civilization obviously are relevant with the looking at the ancient cultures. So lots of subjects lend themselves very well to going alongside Latin. And you can go on to do any sorts of career with Latin. If you have a Latin GCSE, it's not going to stop you from going and doing anything that you want to do. People who study Latin go on to do all sorts of things like medicine, law, finance, journalism, education, etc. The list goes on. Here are some quotes from Year 11s who have studied Latin in the past. I will leave these here for you to have a read of. If you'd like more information, then you can speak to either of your Latin teachers, whether that's Miss Bateson or Ms. Long. So please just email them or speak to them about taking it. And finally, I will leave you with this quick recap of the GCSE Latin, everything that's involved, what we study, extracurricular things, skills developed and career possibilities. Latin is a great choice. I think if you enjoy doing it in Year 9 and Year 8, then you'll definitely enjoy it at GCSE, and it gets so much broader and wider at GCSE as well with the literature added in. It's a really fascinating and unique thing to study, so I hope you consider it.